You're listening to Partners United on Gender, brought to you by the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Foundation with support from the MacArthur Foundation. Institutionalized gender-based violence is a significant challenge for women in Nigeria. The culture of sexual harassment in the workplace and on university campuses poses a serious threat to the well-being and empowerment of young women in the country. Sexual violence creates unsafe spaces for women, destroys their self-esteem, impedes their personal and professional development, and institutionalized harassment such as sex for grades rigs the educational system against women and undermines the credibility of their qualification. My name is Kemi Okenyodo, Executive Program Officer at the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Foundation. Welcome to our first episode on the Gender Justice Podcast. Our guest today is Professor Atsenuwa, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Development Studies, University of Lagos. Welcome to the podcast. Please, can you enlighten us? What is gender-based violence?
Okay, Kemi, let me say thank you once again for having me on. And I think this is going to be an engaging conversation because it's very, very contemporary. It is germane. And I hope this conversation can contribute to deepening the understanding of what it is that we have happening around us. So what's gender-based violence? Gender-based violence is the violence that is targeted at a person simply because of their gender, either the gender they identify with or the gender they are identified with. So what makes it different from every other form of violence is simply that it is premised on that devaluation of that gender. And in this particular case, the devaluation or the diminishing of the status of one gender, in this case, the female gender. So gender-based violence, simply speaking, is violence targeted at one gender, and it would encompass sexual violence, which tends to be more targeted at women. It would encompass spousal abuse, which tends to feature women more as the victims. It would also include, it would include abductions in situations of conflict.
Thank you so much, Prof. Why is gender-based violence a problem?
I think gender-based violence is a problem largely because it is a manifestation of the inequities that we find in society. In turn, it reinforces those inequities. You find a situation where somebody thinks that a female has offended him, and he thinks that the way to teach her a lesson is to rape her, or somebody thinks that a woman has done something wrong and thinks that the way to punish her is to unclothe her publicly. You rarely find men fight publicly and then the next thing is you want to remove his pants so that you can shame him and you can show his genitals. But that is a way of treating women consistently so that you can shame them. So what makes it a problem is that it communicates that in that society, where that is tolerated, in that relationship, where that is tolerated or excused, the message is that there's a validation of the perception that that gender, that woman needs to be treated that way. And it is a whole devaluation of not just the person who is being victimized, but the entirety, because she's not being treated as she's being treated as woman. And the danger with that is that when others see it tolerated, impunity is fostered and it just remains that way. Aside from that, it's it also increases vulnerability, now which affects the quality of the life of those who are at risk of gender-based violence. Because you're at risk of gender-based violence, you continue to make decisions about your life. So let's take what's happening in the Northeast, for example, or the north of Nigeria generally. Girls are more vulnerable to being abducted, or were more vulnerable. And so it was more likely to be girls who will drop out of school because they do not want to take that chance. So it continues to, it's pernicious, and it just continues to provide validation for other forms of violence. And it is also a problem because, at the end of the day, it's very costly for all of society. It's very costly. It dehumanizes all of us in society. It doesn't just dehumanize the gender that is targeted, it dehumanizes because it sends the message that we're ready to treat the other as inferior. And that suggests that we ourselves have a problem. Whoever is perpetrating that has a problem.
To join the conversation about gender and accountability in Nigeria, visit www.partnersunited.org. To report any issues you have concerning gender-based violence in Nigeria, please visit www.genderjustice.org.ng. And for partnership and other inquiries, kindly contact us at info@partnersunited.org.